Senator Ali Ndume has revealed his reason for staging a walkout when the debate on a matter related to the closing of Nigeria's borders was being debated. Ndume explained that the situation emanated when Senator Kawu Sumaila proposed a motion which he said was urgent on closing the border between Nigeria and Niger. The Borno South senator had invoked a point of call to order to call the attention of the Senate President to procedural infringements in order to explain the significance of the motion to the chamber, but the Senate President denied him the opportunity to speak. This, however, went against established parliamentary protocol as the Senate President did not allow the Borno South senator to complete his speech, and the senator walked out of the chamber afterwards.
Now, recall, there have been some complaints by some senators regarding the leadership style of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Now, joining us to discuss this is the National Coordinator, Parliamentary Advocacy Network, Sonny Anderson Osiebe. Good morning. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And good to have you. It's not the first time we're seeing bits and pieces of drama like this in the National Assembly, and then these rumors of, the likely impeachment of the Senate President, senators are not happy with him and things like that. We've seen it in the past. I'm sure we saw it, under Bukola Saraki and even in previous. So, is that what you see, that is almost also playing out here?
It's something that you get to hear almost every time on daily basis in a parliamentary setting. But let me make you understand something. The President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the most difficult to impeach, and I'll tell you why. Because he needs just simple majority, to come into power, but he needs 2/3 to be impeached. So going by what is happening presently, you got to find out that it seems Akpabio has, the 2/3 to himself and to his pocket, because he's been able to find a way, rally around, those who don't like him, and he has also tried to see how to bring those who don't like him to his side, So it's going to be a little bit difficult at this point in time, talking about impeachment, But for us, for someone like me in particular, I'm not keen about impeaching Senator Godswill Akpabio. I'm also only concerned about, making him understand that, the Senate is a different ball game entirely. Being the Senate President simply means that he's just first among equals. That simply means that he must find a way to carry his members, his colleagues along, and definitely find a way to also be able to marry the crisis, happening within the Senate, because it's not something that is least expected. These are things that we expect, within parliamentary space. So what is happening presently in the National Assembly, most especially in the Senate, is not new. Yeah, it's not new to the system, because we get to hear it on and on, But for Senator Godswill Akpabio, I think for now, he should be able to understand that the Senate is a different ball game entirely, and the Senate is not Akwa Ibom State, or maybe probably the Ministry of the Niger Delta, where he held sway for a long time and he dictated what happened and all that, So those places was a one-man show, but the Senate is Nigeria. When you talk about Nigeria, you talk about the Nigerian Senate. So I think he has to bring his head low, and he's dealing with people who are even more experienced than him in terms of legislative practice. Someone like Ali Ndume has been in the National Assembly since 2003. So you cannot take away experience. If it comes to experience, Ali Ndume has it, and other people too who have been there. I want to say that Senator Godswill Akpabio is the most luckiest lawmaker I've ever seen. He came to the National Assembly, to the Senate in 2015, and the rules were bent to make him minority leader, and he's coming back for the second time, and he's Senate President. So let him not see it that, let him not think that is how it is. He's just lucky, and maybe secondly, probably because of his deep pockets and all that. That's what got him those positions. But however, he should not throw away experience. He needs to be properly guided. People like Ali Ndume, who who has been there for a long time, he needs to be properly guided. That's what I'm just trying to say, because the way and manner he goes about the Senate, is not really something most people expected. So, but I know it's a gradual process. With time, probably he will begin to understand and get it right.
Right. We must also just clarify that Senator Ali Ndume did mention that whilst he was trying to, the drama that was going on at the time was ensuing, it was almost time for prayers. So he had to exit. He said that his exit was misconstrued by journalists and people who watched the clip. So I don't think he meant to walk out in anger or stage a walkout like it has been interpreted by a number of us. So I just want us to also touch on, you've talked about him recognizing the years that these senators, sort of recognizing their years and their rank and the experience that they have. I want you to, and this is a conversation, I know he's apologized and that's been sorted, but I wanted you to make reference to, or to refer to the, we don't have clips of it, but Senator Elisha Abbo, of course, who lost his position in the House. I wanted you to maybe make some comments on that and then talk to us about what are some of the changes you think might be implemented to ensure a more united House, a more united front.
Okay. Firstly, for Senator Abbo, I think he was just being mischievous. Yes, I think he was just being mischievous because you do not fail and blame it on someone. For me, I'm not a fan of Senator Godswill Akpabio, but I feel that Godswill Akpabio is not the president of the Court of Appeal, or probably one of the judges and all that. Probably, I don't know. But I know he has come out to apologize, to Godswill Akpabio and to Nigerians and all that. My only advice here should be that, most people should be very mindful of what they say. As leaders, we should always learn to accept defeat, however it comes. And he has now gone out to accuse Senator Godswill Akpabio of being behind his ordeal in the court and all that, and he's coming back to now apologize. I don't really think it makes much sense to people like us, because firstly, he needed to be properly guided, he needed to weigh what he wanted to say and all that before coming to the public to begin to make accusations that he couldn't substantiate. But however, having said that, for the House, to be stable, a lot of things has to be done. Like I just said earlier, I said, look, Akpabio needs to learn. He needs to learn. Unfortunately, he didn't get enough probably parliamentary leadership skills, before he left. Because even when he came in as a minority leader, he had a lot of them who rallied around him, who helped him to stabilize another. And even when he was stabilizing, he left. He destabilized the opposition and left for the APC. Yeah, then, so, a lot of things. And he's coming back. He couldn't come back again when he tried to come back. And he eventually came back and becoming Senate President. So I think his aides and people around him needs to also make him understand that it's a gradual process and it's a learning process. The office of the Senate President is very, very is big. That you don't just sit down and begin to do things, that as it suits you. Like I said, the Senate is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not Akwa Ibom State. So and he needs to also bring his head low. He needs to be able to carry everybody along. You can't be Senate President and you want to be a dictator at the same time. I think that's the problem that Akpabio has. And I don't blame him, because he's coming from a background where he has always been the only one in charge. He was for 8 years. From there, he went to Niger Delta Ministry for another 4 years. So he was just busy dictating. People were following him and all that. But he has now come to the Senate, where everybody is there, where the Muslims are there, the Christians are there, the Northerners are there, the Southerners are there, the Igbo is there, Hausa, Yoruba, and just what have you. So he needs to actually understand that, look, this is a different ballgame entirely, and I need to learn.
When you say that, please permit me to ask, when you say that he cannot be a Senate President and a dictator at the same time, are you saying that he's being a dictator as it stands?
From his actions, from his actions and the way he hits the gavel and all that, and people his colleagues want to talk to him, want to correct him, and he just knocks them out of order and all that is not the way to go, right? Some couple of weeks back, a senator from Nasarawa State came up to say that, look, the way you go about your motions, you pass motions and all that is not the way, it's unparliamentary. And he didn't even give the person an opportunity to, finish and all that, and he ruled him out of order. You see, all those things are signs of dictatorship. And when you're dealing with your equals, it becomes a problem. The Senate President is just first among equals. That's what most of them fail to understand. All of them are all colleagues. So what that simply means that all of them stand equal chance of becoming Senate President. But unfortunately, or fortunately, because of the zoning formula, that he fell on him to be Senate President. So all he needs to do, or at this point in time, is to carry everybody along, is to have that listening ear, is to probably when they talk, they listen. But where I want to fault Ali Ndume on what happened on the floor of the Senate. Ali Ndume by nature is a comrade. Yes, most people don't know that about him. Ali Ndume is a comrade, and unfortunately for Ali Ndume is a member of the cabal. Yes, by being the chief whip of the Senate, he is a member of the cabal. So if he wants to correct your boss, yes, because as Senate President, he's the boss. If you want to correct your leader or whatever you want to use, there's a way you do it as a member of the cabal. You don't come out openly on the national television before other colleagues to begin to want to correct him. And I think he will feel slighted and probably whatever decision he takes at that point in time.
All right, let me just quickly.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah. I think that was the mistake that Ali Ndume made. That's why I faulted him. He ought to have met Senator Godswill Akpabio in the office after the whole thing, endured it, and said, "Look, sir, this is the way to go." You went. Well,
it also is dependent on, like you've mentioned, from what you're seeing, he's acting like a dictator and a Senate President at the same time, in your opinion. So it also depends on whether Senate President Godswill Akpabio has been approachable, also. And, there's also, my very first question was really feeding off what the rumors have been like, across the country concerning the Senate, and how, there might be some disgruntled elements in the Senate that do not necessarily like Senate President Godswill Akpabio and would like to see him, ousted. But aside their individual differences and aside whatever, issues they have amongst themselves, what's most important is how they handle the affairs of the Nigerian people. From the 8th to the 9th to currently 10th, and in fact, even in the past, there's always been criticism as to how much of a rubber stamp Senate and a rubber stamp National Assembly we've had. The last one, the 9th Senate headed by Ahmed Lawan, was described as one of the worst, with regards to being a rubber stamp National Assembly. Do you expect this one to be any different? From what you've seen, do you think that this current National Assembly will represent the Nigerian people in its entirety?
Well, you see, you're trying to put me in the box. I don't like doing this because this is the national television. Maybe I come up to say, what I have to say, and they begin to use that. I'm used to it. You see, let me tell you something. When you have a Senate that is being controlled by the executive, there's absolutely not. Yes, I've said a couple of times. I said, when you have a Senate President that keeps running to the villa to inform Mr. President of the happenings in the villa, to inform Mr. President before he takes a decision, to inform Mr. President before he coughs, to inform Mr. President before he passes a motion, before he passes a bill, and all that, then we are in deep shit. That is the situation we find ourselves right now. We've seen a couple of times Godswill Akpabio running to the villa to see Mr. President because Godswill Akpabio, to me, is not in charge. He's answerable to those, who helped him to achieve that position. That is exactly what we are seeing. In a situation where Godswill Akpabio yes, sorry, I'm trying to borrow the word. Okay, Godswill Akpabio, you want to disqualify a ministerial nominee, you rush to the villa. You want to pass the motion, you rush to the villa. Just recently, yesterday, we saw him with Mr. President, that he said he came to inform him that he's going to Akwa Ibom on a retreat. So you see, these are things, and they've been occurring, and they'll keep occurring if, at the end of the day, measures are not taken to call Senator Godswill Akpabio to order. When you have a Senate that is not independent, then is a problem. Because I called the Parliamentary Advocacy Network, we had a press conference, and we called for the independence of the legislature. We said, when we called for that, we said, look, we don't have a problem with Senator Godswill Akpabio or probably the man in the House of Representatives. But the way and manner these people came up is the problem, is the challenge. Because at the end of the day, they will want to settle, they will probably want to go by the word of their paymasters. Now, who are the paymasters here? It's members of the executive, the president, the vice president, the chief of staff, and all those are the ones that are dictating what happens in the National Assembly as far as we're concerned.
All right.
So until Godswill Akpabio understands that the National Assembly, that the legislature is a different arm of government entirely, they will continue to have this problem. So you asked me a question, and I'm going to answer it. Do I expect anything better from this Senate or National Assembly? The answer is no, because the handwriting is already on the wall. So Nigeria shouldn't expect anything different from what we had in the 9th National Assembly.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. We certainly hope for the best, because when they are their best, it's for the benefit of Nigerians. Thank you for your time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.